And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills.
I can't catch a break, guys.
Yeah.
Get them the fuck away from me. I can't be around those guys.
People think, oh, well, cleaning your room, that's just a cliche. It's like, yeah, really, eh? Just go ahead and try it.
If people had any idea how powerful sleep is for healing from anything, and the fact that it's free.
My mind is absolutely bulletproof, solid as a rock.
Podcast. All right, guys, welcome to the Fighting Fit Show. Today, it's myself, Stephen, we got Chris, we got Brandon, full house today. How's you getting on, guys? Any crack or banter for our listeners?
God of War's out.
That's why you weren't at the 9:30 a.m. session, was it?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, that's exactly why.
I have to say, I'm actually very, very proud of myself. My bedtime stayed super consistent. And so that's very important for me to be able to just put things down and stick to a routine, because otherwise these things become a problem.
Yeah.
That's true. That's it. Last little while I can get back into it now. This is kind of my first kind of super structured week. It was a little more kind of casual since we got back from holidays, but yeah, up and at 'em, getting shit done. Kickstarter challenges started, so that's always gives us a nice wee push. And that, guys, for our listeners, is going to be the topic of today's podcast. This one is called How to Lose 14 Pounds in 42 Days Guaranteed. And we're going to basically talk today about kind of couple of the key principles that we implement in our Kickstarter challenges and just some helpful tools and advice. So grab a pen, grab some paper. If you do want to lose some weight, this is the podcast for you. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook, all the usual places. So
I do actually have a bit of crack. Something maybe from a previous podcast that maybe hasn't been brought up yet. I am following through what I said I would do. I'm doing the cool showers. So we're 14 days in today. So I haven't done today's yet. I do it generally at nighttime. And my time has grown from a mild water temperature. So like I did the first day here, and I turned everything down. But you know, showers have the electric unit as well. So it's not just the temperature. We can actually turn off all the other stuff. So I'm the first day. Yeah.
There's like freezing, cold, and hot.
Yeah. So I think the first 2 days I did it with that on.
The medium.
Cold. Yeah. Yes, I didn't turn it off all the way, but it wasn't on purpose. But it was probably for the best, because I did it for the first day and it was pretty rough. And then I did the second day. We called it progressive overload, and it was the same. It was cold, and then the third day, a frost had come, so the water was getting cold anyway, and I turned all the support off, and I got into my shower at home for I think it was the first time. I think the first two I did here in the gym, and I did it at home with all the heat off, and my God, I only lasted 15 seconds, and then I had to get out and do another 15 seconds. And again, if there's anybody who does cool showers, I did 15 seconds, and then I went back in, because the times 30 seconds of water submersion or cold water contact for the challenge. That's the idea.
Okay.
So you done 215 blocks, okay.
Yeah, and from there, like I've kept a record on the fundraiser page. If anybody wants to support the fundraiser, check out my page. You can donate. I think we've raised €455 so far, which is pretty badass.
That's pretty badass, yeah.
Whoa, yeah, fair
Thanks
play.
everybody for support. Really, really appreciate it. Big part of why I was able to do it is because of the accountability and just kind of having that support. So when I knew there was so many people kind of paying attention, it definitely spurred me on to start doing something with it. And so again, the time's grown. Save the gore details from 3 minutes to 2.5 minutes. So definitely some growth there, and it's been a hell of an experience. Like some really, really intense stuff. Like initially, my diaphragm started like cramping, like when I was breathing. I could find my abs were cramping, and the second dose of cramps was my forearms. Like my hands were literally like spasming in like this. So we were just like tensing and getting so cold. And then I started implementing an awful lot more like head contact. The water is getting an awful lot of it's getting a lot of brain freezes and feeling lightheaded, and my legs are starting to kind of wobble a little bit. So it really is. It's a crazy experience. And to be fair, it's so funny, kind of like drug experiences. Like I've been chasing the dragon of that day 3, because that first initial cold contact, the aftermath of that endorphin high was literally never as good. It has never been as good since that first shock, which was like I could only do 15 seconds. Like it was freezing, my body was going into shock, Well, not literally going in shock, but I was extremely shocked and surprised by what was happening. And then when I got out, like just the surge of heat, like to be honest, that was the main driving factor for getting back in. But slowly but surely, I've been growing the time. Last night I did 45 seconds. I was kind of beat by it. And then I got out and then I got back in and I did like 2 minutes, 20 seconds. So yes,
How do you breathe?
Like initially, people just listen. That's going to be really annoying to listen to.
Yeah.
And then it calms down. And as I well, maybe it's 1 or 2. As I start kind of calming down, I can kind of feel the heat or the water feeling slightly warmer, or my breathing calms down because it's getting warmer. 1 or 2. But I do feel the adjustment starting as well.
Something to try and be really, really forceful with your exhales. Do like 5 or 6. No, like make like an out, like.
Oh, 100%.
And then big breath in.
It's not a try. It's not a try. They are just. There's like literally no other way I can stand under the water. I don't know. It's just an instinct.
Yeah.
So,
a cool thing to do as well. Just focus entirely on that, and it will take away from the cold.
I'm big into Dragon Ball Z for people who don't know, and I'm listening to Dragon Ball Z motivation. I'm doing it, so there's a lot of screaming on in the background in my shower. If anybody listening,
Take away Mason.
And let me know about the positive, because I do find I've experimented casually with cold showers in the past. I do think that they are pretty cool. Kind of when I was kind of looking them up. What was that? It was like, it was kind of a part of kind of almost like the red kind of pill movement on YouTube. Kind of cool showers got super popular there for a while. But also as a tool to treat depression, there is studies that show that it does help with depression. Obviously, there's an endorphin release. You conquer your demons. Like, how do you feel after you? Because I know after I done it, I generally do feel really, really good. And I'm also curious because you casually mentioned that you're kind of getting into a good sleep routine recently, and supposedly cold showers are an amazing way to help the body shut down for the night. I mean, I'm
not sure, but recently, like generally, my sleep is always fantastic. Like only by sheer necessity. Like, I mean, well, I say my sleep is fantastic. My routine is like it's dialed in. Like it's 10 to 10:30 every night without fail, unless maybe the odd Saturday night would be out or something like that. But like 10 10:30 is my.
You go 10:30 even on Saturday nights when you're not working the next day.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, I'd be wrecked. I'd be exhausted. So that's pretty much my bedtime routine, 95% of the time. But the big thing, and I actually, funny enough, I seen a video last night. And your man said the exact same thing. He was doing an ice bath. The biggest benefit is the fact that I did it. Like really, that's and I know it sounds so small, but like that sense of accomplishment is just knowing that I did it again. And like last night, like I said, I was beat by. I was 45 seconds in, and I had to stand out because I brought low energy to it. And again, it wasn't my fault. Like the day before, I did a big post. I was feeling fucking fantastic. Some days just kind of like workouts in life, you really show up and you just have it all. And yesterday, I showed up. And I was standing in front of the shower for about literally like maybe 3 minutes, spending longer looking at the shower than I to be in the shower because of the dread. I was just like, I just don't want to.
Do you shower normally first?
No.
And then
last night was actually the first time that I ever had a hot shower after, because I don't know what, I just felt a little bit run down. Even after it, like after the cold shower, normally I'm roasting, but after it I was shivering still. I don't know why. But
okay, I would encourage just a warm shower, like just a warm shower, and then. Well, that's the way I was, and I kind of thought it's better because it's hard to go straight into the cold. Where I like to go, like I'm kind of wash, and then I'm already in the water. The water's warm. I'm already under the stream, and then I'm like, okay, right, 3, 2, 1, boom, plunge it down to 0, and then.
For me, I'm standing outside the shower. It's so funny. The shower is so cold that like if I turn the shower on, I go get my towel, get ready, or whatever like that. By the time I come back in, the room is now cold. Like the room's now cold from just the shower being cold. So I'm just standing there in the cold air, and I've got my phone ready. I've got the motivational mix playing, and then I'm like 3, 2, 1 foot in, press go underneath, and then that's just it. And then it's so that's my strategy. Again, it's.
Anyone listening to the podcast, I challenge you to go do it. If you've never done a cold shower, I challenge you to do one. 30 seconds, put it to 0, get it done. I would always do a contrast shower as normal first, and then is it my camera flickering on your end too, or is that just my end?
It did, but now it's back.
Yeah. But yeah, I challenge anyone listening to the podcast, if you haven't done a cold shower, right, do it. This is from the Wim Hof website, and obviously he's going to be biased. He's the Iceman after all. But basically, some of the known benefits of cold showers are reduced stress levels. Regularly taking cold showers imposes a small amount of stress in your body, which leads to a process called hardening. This means that your nervous system gradually gets used to handling moderate levels of stress. The hardening process helps you to keep a cool head the next time you find yourself in a stressful situation. Kind of similar benefit, it seems, there, kind of that you get from meditation. Higher level of alertness. Cold showers wake your body up, inducing a higher state of alertness. The cold also stimulates you to take deeper breaths, decreasing the level of CO2 throughout the body, helping you concentrate. Cold showers thus keep you ready and focused throughout the day. More robust immune response. Scientific studies have shown that taking a cold shower increases the number of white blood cells in your body. These blood cells protect your body against disease. Research believes that this process is related to an increased metabolic rate, which stimulates the immune response. Increased willpower. It takes a strong mind to endure the cold for extended periods of time. By incorporating cold showers into your daily routine, you are strengthening your willpower. And again, I know a lot of people struggle with willpower, myself included at times, which benefits many aspects of your daily life. And finally, weight loss. Research has shown that cold showers and exposure to the cold in general, in addition to increasing metabolic rate directly, stimulate the generation of brown fat. Brown fat is a specific type of fat tissue that turns, to call it fat-burning fat, that in turn generates energy by burning calories. Cold showers then are an effective tool for people who are looking to lose a few pounds. And again, the weight loss thing, it is very minimal, but there is brown fat, particularly in the areas that you tend to be quite lean, like the upper back. There's a lot of brown fat, and essentially it's called brown fat burning fat. I think it was in Tim Ferriss's book, The 4 Hour Body. I think I first kind of came across that idea. And again, just to emphasize it, from my experience, when I do a cold shower, I feel amazing after. I'm going to start doing it again now that you're doing it for the next couple of weeks. So I'll jump in and join you every time I'm having a shower.
2 weeks. 2 weeks
I'll plunge you down the cold, because again, you do feel amazing, and it is a great way to defeat your inner bitch, as they say. So yeah, I definitely feel tougher, harder, and I feel amazing. Like after I do a cold shower, I'm coming out there and I'm buzzing. My heart rate's up. I'm alert. I'm alive. It is pretty cool. I do feel great after it.
I every night but last night I literally felt amazing. Amazing. So good. And also I got my strict muscle up this week, and it is a big improvement. But one thing that I would say, I don't know, cold showers could have something to do with it in terms of recovery. I definitely find my elbows were getting very, very sore, and I found I just wasn't sore at all the next day after all. I haven't been sore. And I've been pushing my shoulders and elbows pretty hard. And
cold showers and recovery are amazing.
Yeah, hand in hand. Because again, you're just flushing
everything. Very much, but I do know that is a hot little bit of topic, kind of cold exposure and ice baths and stuff after the workout. A lot of people say that kind of because the cold shower kind of eliminates the inflammation. Inflammation is essentially what makes the magic happen, and because it kind of speeds up the recovery process, I suppose it's not actually optimal. Again, it is a debated.
So it depends what optimal is, but if you are a skill-based athlete, and let's say you've done a heavy leg session, you'll still get some benefits, but you'll get less of the benefits of a leg session. But your legs will be fresher for, let's say, playing tennis or whatever. If you're
that's a good shape. But because you sped up the recovery, you missed out on maybe hypertrophy. And I was kind of just in this frame of thought earlier on, I just kind of talking in my mind is like a lot of people, ourselves included at times, but kind of PTs in general, or kind of the whole kind of Instagram. I think sometimes forgets that not everybody's a bodybuilder, not everybody's a professional athlete, and kind of everything. A lot of these studies and stuff is all geared towards bodybuilders and professional athletes, and that's not what a lot of people want from their exercise. So just as a side note, so let's kind of kick on in here, because I said I do have a meeting after this, so we got to be on time. So Kickstarter challenge. So I'm going to kind of read out a couple of key principles. Okay, I'm not going to go into any depth, but just kind of give you guys an overview. Again, nothing you don't already know. We've been doing this for since 2019. Run this Kickstarter challenge in this format. We do make kind of tweaks and changes kind of as we go. The biggest tweak and change we made this time around is again getting them in-person weigh-ins back, which I think will be the secret sauce in order to kind of keep people accountable, make sure people are getting great results. So kind of nice run up to Christmas. We only got really 5 weeks before Christmas week, so this would be kind of say week 1. The 6th week is Christmas week, it finishes on Christmas Eve, and I know there's going to be nights out and that kind of stuff, so we really got to hit the ground running. But again, simple 6 key principles of the Kickstarter challenge. Okay, so number 1 is obviously we've got to achieve a calorie deficit. Every person taking part in the challenge gets their own personalized calorie and macro target. Okay, there's also optional, kind of 3 different options with the meal plans. We've got the Kickstarter meal plan. We use a flexible item strategy for using MyFitnessPal, and then there's also our new kind of smart meal plan feature. This is like an interactive meal plan. You can pull up recipes and videos and that kind of stuff, which is pretty badass. That's number 1. So achieve a calorie deficit. Number 2, eat a high protein diet. Why are we eating a high protein diet? Because when we're in a calorie deficit, we want to preserve as much muscle as possible. Some people, if you're a beginner, you could even, depending on the severity of the calorie deficit, gain a little bit of muscle as well. But again, and also protein is going to keep you full for longer. So 2 key reasons. When we're in a severe calorie deficit, we've got to prioritize protein. We've got to protect the muscle mass we have. We want to upregulate protein synthesis multiple times per day. We want to strength train. And also said protein is going to keep you full for longer. So protein has got the most satiating effect of food. So if you eat eat a steak for dinner, eat a couple of chicken fillets, like you're not picking, like you're not hungry. Whereas maybe for me anyway, when I eat a bowl of pasta, I could probably eat something again a half an hour later. Whereas if I eat a steak, I'm literally like, I know I'm full.
I think
number 3,
important to remember the thermic effect of food. Protein is the highest thermic effect of food out of all food groups.
Yeah.
So
to say up there, I think I did see a study. I think it was from your man BioLane recently, or some comment on him that says, like, I think it was originally overstated. Possibly they kind of did say that originally it was up to like 30% of the calories you ingest through protein is burned up through digestion, through the thermic effect of food. But I think it's maybe slightly less, maybe more like 15 or 20. But again, still significant. That means if you eat 100 calories of of protein, 15 to 30 calories are just being burned off through an easy way to cut your calories by 15 to 30%. And again, I'll just run through these, and then we'll do a bit more of a deep dive once I give a brief intro. So eat a high protein diet. Number 3, work out 3 to 5 times a week. So that kind of really depends on your experience level. Beginners, 3 times a week, you'll get good results. If you're intermediate to advanced, you do want to be working out 4 or 5 times a week. Let me see. 4, then cardio points. How active you are outside the gym is more important than how active you are inside the gym. I kind of heard this concept. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of 75 hard. I can't remember the guy, Andy Frisella, I think is his name. He runs a challenge called 75 hard. He's got a cool thing. His challenge is, it's like 2 workouts a day, 1 indoor, 1 outdoor. I kind of like that. So like do one workout in the gym, and then maybe 1 workout outside the gym. So like, and again, a 10-minute walk would count, depending. I think his might be maybe 30 or 45 minutes or whatever. But that is a cool one, going to get people outside, getting them steps in. The steps are your NEAT. You're not exercising. Well, I suppose it wouldn't technically be NEAT if you're actually going out for a walk. But anyway, outside the gym, there's 24 hours in a day. You're going to time outside the gym than you do inside the gym. Sitting on your bum outside the gym is not going to help you get optimal results. Number 5, and one of the key things, hot communication, honest, open, 2-way communication. Okay, so if you are doing a program, you're working with a coach, you really do want to utilize that coach to get feedback as regularly as possible. So obviously we kind of check in kind of almost daily with the challenge groups, and then we kind of see everybody in person at least once a week, and obviously seeing at the workouts. So we're seeing people and communicating with them multiple times a week. The people who engage the most get the best results. People that hide in the shadows usually fizzle out by the halfway point and kind of get decent. They get results, but they're only maybe losing 4 to 6 pounds or so. Number 6, then, tracking body stats. This is again one of the most counterintuitive ones, I think, anyway. Especially again if you read a lot of the posts and the stuff on, say, Instagram and Facebook, kind of the sad step and this kind of philosophy. When I found personally, and working with clients, that the opposite is true. It is one of them things, like, it depends. If somebody just does really have a negative relationship with the scales, and they really do have a lot of negative self-talk around these things, it's probably not going to be the best. But if you take it for what it is, which is just data, just a number on a scale, and also it's body stats, not just the weigh-in. So the context is provided by also measuring the inches, by also measuring the body fat percentage, by also checking your progress photos. So it's not just relying on the weight itself. But because when you're doing kind of relatively short-term challenges, think about it, if this is only a 6-week challenge, and you say you wait a week to weigh in, and if you don't get the result that you wanted, you've lost, say, what would that be, about 18% of the challenge is gone. So like, you want to be kind of getting feedback as quickly as possible to see if what you're doing is working. And after like 3 days, if you're not seeing progress, you're in a 1,000-calorie deficit every day on the weight, on the body fat, on the inches, in any way, shape, or form, we may want to just have a look at your activity levels, at your meal plan, to see if there's any adjustments to be made. So again, tracking your body stats regularly. And there's an interesting study that we'll do a bit of a deep dive into here. There's a nice article that links to all the studies. There's loads of studies being done, but it basically shows that people who weigh in more often lose more weight and keep the weight off longer. I think it's a pretty damning statistic. Diets, I'm pretty sure over 5 years, I think it's 40% of people who lose weight with say diets and air quotes gain the weight back within 1 year, and 100% of people gain back the weight within 5 years. But this people who weigh themselves daily don't seem to do that, and I've seen that a lot myself. So I've done jizz, must be 200 calls over the last year or two post COVID, with people kind of looking to lose weight after gaining the old COVID weight. And again, common denominator was I stepped in the scales there after a year and I gained 2 stone. Whereas my kind of thing is like, if you had a step in the scales after you gained 5 pounds, would you have nipped it in the bud then, having the information? So just kind of creating mindfulness, being more conscious, being more aware of kind of the reality of your situation, and not necessarily putting it in the sand. So with all that said, guys, what do you think? So six kind of key principles. Would there be anything that you'd add to that, or is there anything that you want to kind of dive into a little bit deeper?
Yeah, the whole weighing in, not losing weight, kind of carry on. For me, the big thing is like, when you're doing the work, you lose the weight. It really isn't really. It's that simple. And I haven't known anybody to be the opposite. Well, again, look, obviously there's always the outlier, and everybody wants to put themselves in the convenient bracket of the outlier. It's my hormones. Hormones get an awful bad rap. Obviously, look, hormones play so many different roles. There's so many different hormones. Without diving too much deep, people have different appetites, and for the most part, that's going to be down due to hormones and the size of your stomach, and you've stretched it over the years because your appetite's crazy. You snack really regularly. You're used to eating at certain amount of times. Whatever. There is no way you can be in 1,000-calorie deficit and not lose weight. By nature, there is absolutely no way. So, especially over the course of the week.
We'll say that again, right? Because again, just important to be specific, because again, there is a way that you can do it and not lose weight if weight is only measurement, but there's no way you're not going to lose body fat. If you're eating 1,000 calories less than you eat every day, in theory, you should be losing a couple hundred grams.
But even if you're in 1,000-calorie deficit a day, I would even argue the fact that you damn near see weight like some kind of weight loss, like 0.2, 0.3. Like,
that's a couple hundred grams. Yeah. Anytime I've been on the ball and I've kind of strictly measured things. And as I said, like, you need to obviously have the weight to lose. But everyone doing the challenge obviously has the weight to lose, or to have
the biggest thing that happened to me
challenge.
Over the course of the last 2 years. I think I've done 6 Kickstarters. So I've done 6 Kickstarters. I've lost a stone 6 times, maybe not a stone, 10 to 14 pounds 6 times in the last year, on and off, basically cut, bulk, cut. And in that period, what I've noticed is that the leaner I've got, the more difficult it is to keep the weight off. So once you start dragging people into a calorie deficit, things start getting very real, right? Things get very, very real when you're in a calorie deficit, and your hormones do kick in. So you do start to get a larger appetite. You do start to feel a little bit more lethargic, and the journey does get an awful lot harder.
But Brian, you would also be an outlier in that sense. Sorry to interrupt, but again, you've got semi-visible abs kind of year round, and then you've got super visible abs when you finish the Kickstarter. Whereas most people doing the challenge, even if they lose 14 pounds, are not going to have visible abs. So the body fat levels aren't being reduced to that level where they should start to see them kind of.
Would you say that's because he's so lean, or because he's moving further away from his set point?
For Brandon.
Yeah,
why it gets harder to stick. I think it's because you're leaner, your body's upregulating the hormones, ghrelin, etc., that cause you to want to eat more. And again, you're also super active. Like, you guys must get 25,000 steps a day easy on a shift kind of doing the classes. Yeah. 22 is your average. Yeah.
On work days. But the big thing, the big thing for me, as you said, I feel really cold because I am starting to get to the point where there's not a lot of insulation. The body's going right. Like, and again, it's not like I'm super cut. I'm not bodybuilding level cut. Like, but as I said, the body's like, hey, Brandon, why don't you gain, a few more pounds? That's, it's not that smart to fly this close to the sun. It's like, what happens if there's a famine? We could die. So it makes sense. And again, I'm trying to speak to the nature of, like, look, guys, when you go into a calorie deficit, you are going to be a little more hungry. That's to be expected. But the whole idea of, like, you're not losing any weight ever. It's like, you need to examine 2 things, as you said, Stephen. It's like, you really need to examine your nutrition, like what is going in, how much are you snacking, sneaky snacks. What are we here? Fridge pickers wear bigger knickers. Those who stay strong wear a thong. Sam told me that on Saturday. Yeah. I love it. It must be from a slim.
You wear a thong,
ladies thing. I don't wear thongs, not all the time.
Just once.
Only when I stay strong. But yeah, so the thing about it is like, it's either going to be your calories in, And I did a post there yesterday. It's like most people aren't walking enough. I get so many people with the stride of pride at 10,000 steps, and I respect it. And I understand for some people, you're kind of boxed into this life where 10,000 steps is everything you can do. And I would say that is by nature of you boxing yourself in. That is why you're struggling to lose weight, because you've now tuck yourself into this lifestyle, you know, through choice, or maybe you're forced into it, whatever the reasons. Like, you are super sedentary. It's so hard to lose weight when you're not active. If you're not burning that many calories, it's going to be such a difficult journey to try and lose the weight. And so 10,000 steps to me, again, it's a great minimum. It's a great standard for, you know, really getting the average person to move who otherwise would be getting 2,000-3,000 steps. But when we're talking for fat loss, like, you need to be active, generally speaking, for a good amount of fat loss. You want to lose a stone, like, you need to get to work. And so I would be suggesting, like, look, if you're really serious about fat loss, really, really, really serious, 15,000 should be your minimum and 20,000 should be the goal. And you say that to most people who go, oh, so I'm never going to do it. And it's like, right, okay, well, we need to look at the other lifestyle factors, and we need to see, again, look, if you genuinely, your heart and soul can't do it, you're going to have to be okay with £1 to £2 a week, because that otherwise,
even half a pound.
This is it. You know what I mean? But the issue for me, in my experience with most people, is that if the fat loss is that slow, now again, £1 to £2 a week is pretty good, but half a
£2 a week is amazing.
Yeah, £2 exactly. So if it's at the point where it's like £0.5 a week, is like, if you might only have the willpower for 3-4 weeks, and then, you know, a bad weekend, that's
you need a diet break. But there's a lot to be said about diet breaks. Like, diet breaks supposedly are very useful. Like, I would encourage everyone to kind of have a diet break, obviously, after the challenge. The problem is that when it's not a diet, like, a diet break involves going back up to maintenance, whereas people go back up to a surplus. Yes. Again, I feel like we're all guilty of this when we go through a period of restriction. But obviously, yeah, a diet break, say like you do like a 6-week cut, a 1-week diet break, even in between, that would just involve adding that 1,000 calories back, that 1,000 calorie deficit, whereas people add the 1,000 calories back plus another couple of thousand calories on top of that when you average it over the week in a lot of cases. Because people say all the time, and I know there's a lot of places that have bad reps for kind of, you know, getting people to lose a lot of weight in very short periods of time and stuff, but it's not necessarily like, you know, it's not as if you're doomed to magically gain the weight back without changing how you're eating and moving. Like, that's the reality of the thing. Like, people just, you know, blame the program or whatever, but it's like, that's not what it is. Like, you didn't gain the weight back. Maybe I feel like psychologically the program might have put you in that place where you kind of have this kind of, you know, this impulse to binge afterwards. But physiologically, you know, it's because you're moving less and eating a lot more than you were when you were doing the challenge. That's why you gain the weight back and more.
Well, the only thing I would say on that maybe is like, right, okay, if you were to hold a program giver out, or, you know, responsible, you would need to just pair that program and say, right, this program comes in 2 parts. It comes for a 6-week or 12-week transformation, and it also comes with a 12 to 6 week maintenance phase. And so, like, you know, if you take responsibility for the aftercare, you know, your hands are clean. It's like, look, we did our best. That's kind of something
that we started, because we kind of made 12 weeks the minimum, and then I kind of felt really guilty about it, like, you know, like offering, you know, a 6-week, you know, quick fat loss challenge type thing. And then I was like, then we kind of just came to the resolution. It was like, sell people what they want and give them what they need. Because if I don't sell them what they want, they're going to go somewhere else. I can't help them. They're going to miss out on doing it, say, the Fight and Fit way, and kind of getting the kind of extra care and stuff. Because I know for a fact people don't get the same kind of care and one-on-one attention and stuff that they get at our facility.
And I know right well as well. We offer that, and not everybody takes up, because people like to blame people. It's like, you know, you don't want the aftercare. You want the quick fix, and then you're going away, and then you're just going to go back to your old habits. Like, that's not going to work. I don't care whose program you take on. You know, it's like, you literally need to be committed to this and take it on as if it's a lifestyle. Like, if you want a 6-week transformation, fair enough, it's extreme. You need to be ready for a possibility of an extreme bounce back, and you need to be prepared for that and take on and have a plan to moderate after that, because otherwise
you need to go straight back. You need to go straight back into maintenance. The problem is, like, what happens is people kind of are super restrictive, they can kind of say a load of healthy foods, and then say, fair enough, right, they go out and have a cheat meal or a cheat weekend or whatever, and then on the scales the weight fluctuates like 4, 5, even 6 pounds after that weekend, and they feel like they fucked it, when the reality is you're holding on to a lot of extra carbs, you're holding on to a lot of extra water, you're holding on extra salt. And this is kind of why I encourage people to kind of that process of like that one key habit that would help you long term is to keep weighing yourself in, because you notice, although when you weighed in on the Monday you're 6 pounds up, Tuesday it was only 4 pounds, and by Wednesday maybe you're up 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds. But it's not as bad. It's not, oh fuck, it was all for nothing, I'm back to square one thing. that's kind of one of the reasons I really like the kind of the daily weigh-in. If you can address people's limiting beliefs around that and encourage them to kind of just again collect more data. We live in a data-driven world. When you have more data, you can make better decisions. I think that's kind of one of the key things long term for maintenance that I think would really help people stay on track.
And this is one of the big things that they talk about in the whole nutrition coaching realm, is they talk exactly what you said there about the all or nothing mentality. I'm pretty sure we probably hammered this home now. And again, for any new listeners or anybody just needs reminded, we all need reminded at times, is that if you have an all or nothing mentality, that's exactly what we're talking about. It's this, but I'm going to cut out all the bullshit. And this seems to be everybody's first go-to strategy, especially, maturing with your nutrition, is understanding that all or nothing is never going to work. That living at either extreme is never going to work for you. It's not what you want, unless what you want is to get absolutely shredded and then to get fat again. If that's what you want, then all or nothing will work perfectly for you. If you don't want that, well, then all or nothing is the exact opposite what you need to do. You need to take a hold of your initial knee-jerk reaction that everybody has initially to go, right, I need to cut it all out. It's like, you don't. You really don't need to cut it all out. You need to cut most of it out. You need to cut about 70 to 80%. You need to cut back to about 10 to 20% of, a little bit of bullshit, something to keep you going, but not all of it out to the point where you're like, right, I can't do this anymore. I need a pint. I need the bread. I need the pasta. I need the chocolate. And then we do it. And so like I was listening to a guy, and he was literally talking about, I would never trust anybody. I would never trust anybody who's poor, because basically what's going to happen is a hungry man's got to eat. So it's like, if you're like really at the arse end of your life and you're really struggling, it's only a matter of time before the human instinct kicks in to take from you to give to me, because that's what happens when you're desperate. The last thing you want to do with nutrition is make yourself desperate.
Yeah, that's very interesting you said that, Brian. I think you heard that on the Human podcast with your man BioLane.
I'm not sure where I heard
Did you?
On
No?
TikTok.
I was literally only listening to that there yesterday, the day before, and essentially what he said was like, food, like this whole kind of food addiction thing is quite difficult, and it was because of that kind of thing that you said. Whereas you can't just give up food, it's kind of like saying to a gambler, all right, you have to give up gambling, but you have to go in here 3 times a day. You have to just pull it once. Just pull the wee gambling machine. Pull it once at breakfast time. Pull it once at lunchtime. Pull it once at dinner time, and then give it a wee small pull then for a wee snack throughout the day.
One TikTok and watch one video. Just one TikTok video. That's all you get. Good luck.
Yeah. But this is kind of why for a lot of people it kind of seems to work quite well when they change the environment. That's kind of one thing I would have liked to maybe emphasize a little bit more in our last podcast, Chris, was the whole kind of thing about how important environment is for establishing change or for creating change. And that's why this kind of whole all or nothing mentality, people just cut it out and they fucking clear it because they don't want to be surrounded by the temptation.
That's something I was going to say. I was going to interrupt Brandon there and say there's two kinds of transformation. I think there is the slow and gradual, and I think there is the person who just goes, okay, this is it. I'm turning my whole life around. I'm not doing this anymore. And I think the biggest determinant factor in that is what Stephen's saying is environment. So like someone who does go to the press, throws everything out, they make this dramatic, let's say, scene about it. They remember that, I went to the press, I grabbed everything, threw it into the bin, and it's only good food in from here on out. And they don't the main thing that will help them is they streamline the process for success. So there's no sweets in that. Anyone who's like me, if there's a packet of biscuits in the press and having a cup of tea, for me, I generally just don't trust myself to stop after 2 biscuits. I don't think. It's not
that you don't trust yourself to stop. It's based on history. It's I don't stop. Not to kind of maybe not to say it's not possible for you to stop if you say a surf on the earth, etc. But I've noticed to me, I am so impulsive that I can't even say if I'm coming home, say Chinese, I get a Chinese in the thing, I can't help myself but picking at the chips or something, on the way home, or opening something as soon as I get out of the shop. I'm saying my fucking new earbuds, I fucking open them up as soon as I get into the car, and that kind of same thing. So it's I think it's about everything else. It depends on you. You have to know yourself best through kind of self-awareness, self-reflection, understand what works well for you.
Have any of you guys ever made that extreme situation where you've cut all the stuff out of the house and now disciplined you? Cut all out all snack, and now hungry you sitting there going, right, what am I supposed to eat now? There's no snacks in the house. So what do you do?
Yeah.
You wait.
It's easy. It's easy. That's it. It makes it easy because like, well, I'm on a diet. I shouldn't be eating the snacks anyway. So I just again surf the urge. I just sit with the feeling and say, okay, well, am I going to go to the shop? Am I going to go to the shop and buy it? Maybe 1 in 5 times I do go to the shop and get it because I really do want to have a wee snack or a bag of crisps or something. But most of the time I don't. So it's just kind of this whole thing I like to call it protecting your future self. It just makes it easier. And it's like, right, because have a go-to. It's like, right, if I get a career for that, I kind of find myself doing, going around the press, looking for a little snack, drink some water, eat some fruit, that whole thing. If you don't want an apple, you're not hungry, you're just bored. So that would be the mindset of, and as you kind of mentioned, the transformations. I'm kind of slowly but surely moving towards that kind of way of thinking myself, where like people really like, because when you understand, like, progress equals motivation. People need to see progress to stay motivated. That's what I find is the problem. A lot of people who struggle with motivation, they're not seeing progress. Because again, someone comes in the first couple of weeks of the program, they lost 2 pounds, they lost 2 pounds again, lost another 2 pounds, they got a new PB in the deadlift. Boom, they're seeing all this progress. They're super, super, super motivated. But what happens over time is what happens over time is they don't necessarily stop making progress. They stop measuring the progress. They stop looking for the progress, and that's why they lose the motivation.
But also,
so part of me kind of thinks like the best. Sorry, Bart, but part of me thinks like the best way to just do it is to just like get stuck in, balls to the wall, jump in with 2 feet. Make the big change, see the progress very, very quickly. It's that kind of thing. Like people say, like you don't get rich. The only way to get rich is quick. Like you build your skills for 5, 10, maybe 15 years, and then boom, you're an overnight success. I kind of feel like that there might be the way it's done for a lot of people. Chris said there's 2 types of transformation: the slow and steadies. The people who are maybe a little bit more well put together, I think, and kind of can have that kind of maybe longer term view. The people that maybe have a little bit more personal development to do, develop more skills and address all them limited beliefs and different things. I think for them types of people, and I am one of them people, is like, I need to see the progress a little bit faster, a little bit quicker. It keeps you more motivated, it keeps you much more engaged. And then it's about having an exit strategy. As you said, like the rapid fat loss thing will work, and you will be super motivated. You will lose, 10, 20 pounds in a relatively short period of time. It's the fact that you stop is why the weight comes back on. Whereas you could just go back up to maintenance and kind of keep it going from there. But that's kind of where I'm kind of at. Obviously, they said there is 2 types of people. We can talk about the chefs and the bakers, people that come in and follow the recipe, and other people like, because I just know myself, like I've been on these rabbit holes, like when you're not happy with how you look and feel, like nothing else is more important. You know what I mean? Like nothing, like you don't care about your mobility, you don't care about your strength. You just think, like, I can't fit into my fucking clothes and I have to go. I've got my best friend's wedding in 2 months. You know what I mean? And everybody's like, just help me this one time, and I'll.
Right here's the other side as well: self-esteem and self-confidence. Like you can get into a situation where you feel so shit about yourself, and this body right now, it's a double-edged sword, because not only does it make you feel like shit, it affirms how you feel about yourself, and so it feels very, very uncomfortable.
There's proof.
Kind of try and grow out of that. You're like, yeah, it's like, this is me. I am a big bag of shit. I feel like shit. I look like shit. I am shit. And so again, this change in identity. This is why the initial progress is so important. That's what I was going to say was, if somebody doesn't start strong, they can be in an eddy and hole for a long time because they miss that initial, like, I could do this. And so if you don't get that, like for me personally, like one of the best things, I can remember it clear as day. I mobilized my hips. I went out for a run, and the run didn't hurt for the first time. I remember again stretching my hamstrings and feeling a big, just like a big lengthening. And that to me it was proof of concept. This thing's true. This thing works. I can 100% do this across anything. Like, not only did that help me with believing in mobility, but it helped me with my nutrition. It helped me with everything. Because I know now that, change is possible, that I am something that is adaptable, something that can change if I do put in the work. Because before that, I just didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in the process. I had this limiting story that it's all right for you, but not for me. And no matter what I try, this is always going to be the way. Because until you have, again, proof of concept that you can change, it is hard to believe that you can change, especially if you've been a certain way for a long period of time.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. That's what it is about. Like, seeing that progress is let you know that it is possible for me. I can actually do this. It will work for me, because people have told themselves a story that they're the unlucky one for years and years and years, and they've tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed. But I would say it's because they're blaming external factors instead of looking at, okay, what could I have done better? Is there any area that I could be more skillful, more knowledgeable, more organized,
etc.? Around you, right? your proof of concept around it, it's your mom, it's your dad, it's your sister, it's your uncle, and they'd all tried diets, and quote unquote, none of it worked. So it's like, if it didn't work for them, why would it work for me? And so again, it's like people fall, like the stories that people tell themselves and the stories that are told to people. Stories are a wonderful thing. Like, we've really passed on so much information through years before written tests that have managed to withstand the test of time because of stories, because stories are so powerful for the human psyche. And we have so many incredible limiting stories that surround us every day. Like, I notice that all the bloody time now. I listen to people all the time. I listen to friends. I listen to family. And again, I don't intervene unless somebody asks for my help. Nowadays, you're not getting it because it generally doesn't go down too well when you offer help that isn't asked. And so again, I just listen, and I just listen to these stories, and I listen to, how convinced that they really are. And, you might ask a couple of questions and you realize that there's not a whole lot behind them. It's not based on a whole pile of anything except for, a failed haphazard attempt. And it's kind of like, right, okay, but that's a strong belief.
I know you've closed that door. That door is now closed in your mind. It's never been opened again. You've tried it and it failed. But again, it failed, not you failed. Like, we would say, it's this kind of thing. We don't take personal responsibility for the outcomes for our actions, and how we could have done it better. Usually I find it's always a skills or knowledge gap. Like, what could I have done better? And as you said, like, once you start to ask the prodding questions, it just becomes aware. Like, I talked about this on the last podcast, just like how shallow the thinking was. Like, there was no deep thinking or deep reflection on why you failed. It's like, oh, ABB didn't get the result. That doesn't work. Move on. It's like, okay, well, why didn't it? Why didn't it work?
We could get into a deeper societal question here. It's like, how many people know how to think and ask deep questions? How many people actually know how to go deep? And because again, it's of no criticism to people. Like, at least not like, I'm not trying to criticize anybody, because most people at their heart of hearts really believe these stories because they don't know how to go deeper, and they don't know how to challenge their beliefs. They don't know how to ask. What?
Or they don't want to.
But again, they do want to, but again, it's just hurtful, and most people are conditioned.
That's why they don't want to.
But most people,
because they want to save face. Most people want to save face. We kind of learned this one of the first books we read, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like, if you want to kind of maintain a relationship with people, like, never back somebody into a corner and force them to admit they're wrong. It's one of the easiest ways to destroy a relationship. Whereas what you kind of have to, you're trying to kind of bring them around to your way of thinking, but they have to kind of figure it out on their own per se, through maybe asking the right kind of questions.
We're listening to podcasts. This is one of the reasons why I love this medium, because I can literally talk about people that I know, and I hope that they're listening, and I hope that they're getting the message. But I don't want to hurt their feelings, and I don't want them to have to sit there and be embarrassed about it. It's like, this is why I love podcasts. I've learned so much in podcasts, just sitting as a fly on a wall, saving face, going through, criticisms of this kind of behavior, criticisms of this kind of person. This is what I believe to be right. And to get to be there and save face and still take on the information and not have to be directly criticized is so important for growth for me.
Such a good idea.
Yeah. So, guys, just to kind of give some people some practical advice, we're going to have to wrap this up now in a few minutes. But based on them kind of 6 kind of key points that I have, there's anything that you'd like to delve deeper, anything that you'd really love to get across to people that are struggling, or anyone, maybe they're not struggling, maybe they're just kind of starting off, they've just never really had this much structure, this much support, they've never done a program this good. Like, what advice would you give to them to make sure they get the best possible? Is there anything that you'd encourage them to focus on, etc.?
Well, super simply, like, please generally measure and track everything, like absolutely everything. I think you learn an awful lot about nutrition that way. Like, if you generally,
at least for the first week, like, if you go all in for the first week and you track absolutely everything, you know how many calories is in what you're eating, and then how much you deviate from that. Like, it gives you so much more context.
Yeah, I say to people all the time, like, how many times are you going to weigh 100 grams of chicken before you know what 100 grams of chicken looks like? How many times are you going to weigh 100 grams of rice before you know what 100 grams of rice looks like? Once you do it for a couple of weeks, you're good. But I just kind of know, like, almost my kind of knee-jerk response, my lower self will be like, not doing that. So, like, there's people that just literally, like, even doing a challenge, they're just like, not going to weigh food, not doing it.
But wait there, right? This is another thing about the environment. Like, the best way to make this easy is to have your scales out on the counter, or like where you just have to tap a button, have the bowl there. Yeah. So when you go to weigh it, it's like, well, I poured in here, I'll just go here first, then here.
You have to make path of least resistance. It has to be easy.
Exactly. It's the same thing with protein shakes. If your whey protein's in the back of the press, you have to move like 10 things to get to it. It's like out of sight, out of mind. You're not going to go to it. You need to make sure that it's easy and convenient. Like, I think people really, really like underestimate the power of convenience and how much influence that has on you. Like, people are lazy, especially in the Western world. We have so much other stuff to focus on. Nutrition is always an afterthought. It's changing the culture. Like, it used to be where, you know, a meal was like the big event of the day, where everyone sat around the table. We all exchange, oh, what happened here? What happened here? You know, now it's like food is an afterthought. So it's like everyone else is done, and then they want to switch off their brain while they're eating. And because they're stressed, and like not blaming them right like that there, but that's usually what happens. And the more forethought and the more effort that it takes, the less desirable it is to do. But if you have it out there and it's already done, and you do it for a week, and you've like, pick meals that you enjoy, like get meals that you actually enjoy, learn how to cook them, learn how to master them in a way that you like, that you know the calories around them, make it once, and then have it. Like, my new favorite breakfast now is Greek yogurt, whey protein, and a little bit of peanut butter, and a little bit of honey and a banana. That's it. And it works out like 550 calories. And there's like 35 grams of protein in it. It's unreal. Tastes absolutely amazing. It's like, boom, I know what it is. I make it the exact same way every single time. I put the bloody Greek yogurt in on a bowl, on the bloody set weighing scale, so I know exactly what's in it. And then everything else is just like already measured. It's not hard.
One of my favorite dinners now is seasoned chicken and rice with a sweet chili sauce. And so it's like sticky honey chicken and rice, and it's fucking amazing.
Sounds amazing, yeah. Sounds unreal.
Well, must be maybe more. Like, one thing I want to do for this Kickstarter challenge is kind of do more
cooking down
in relation to the food, like more cooking down was that kind of stuff. I'd also kind of love to do, like, I wonder if anyone listening would be interested, or any members would be interested in doing, like I've kind of talked before, like, you know, there's like little weekly community events, doing like a meal prep kind of thing. People get together, bring the food and kind of chop it up and that kind of stuff together. Many hands make like work, as they say, or even just more so the kind of the fact that if you go into an environment, maybe you'll actually do the meal prep for once, because, you know, we maybe have good intentions, but we don't necessarily always follow through. Or again, learn a couple of kind of simple things, like one for. Like, it's so busy. Like, life is so busy. If you have children, I get it. Life is so busy. If you've work and you've got multiple children, I get it. Life is really busy.
I meant more like you can learn off the mammies, because like they in terms of like kitchen skills and all that jazz. Like, one of the biggest issues I see with people who are overweight, it's not all the time. It's really not all the time, but a lot of the time is like they've no kitchen skills. None.
100%.
For me, like, I was like 22 before I started. Like, I remember you did home ec, and you knew how to use an oven, like when you're like, I don't know, was it 13 or 14? I didn't do home ec, and I like didn't know how to use an oven up until I was like fucking 23.
Oh yeah, that was so useful. Really, yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, my cooking skills were like making coca noodles and using the deep fat fryer until I was about 22, 23.
In fairness, I did home ec, and the extent of my cooking was beans on toast on the pot. You know what I mean? It's like,
even that differentiation, you did it on the pot. Like, for me, it was almost like I was scared of the stove. I was like, microwave.
Yeah.
And no one taught me around like that. And if you don't have those skills, like, you know, like if you're a parent and you haven't taught your children how to cook and are like teenagers, you should probably consider getting on that. Teach them how to cook some meals.
Or also, here's another one. If you don't have cooking skills, you know, the chances of you passing your very bad eating habits onto your kids are going to skyrocket, because kids just do as you do. And kids, like, I notice, like,
100%, Brandon. I'm sure. Do you know what the data is on overweight parents having overweight children?
Oh, like 100%. 95%.
Yeah, no, well, it's like 70% plus. I must double check that. I'm pretty sure last time I read it was like 70%. So 70% of obese was the one I thought. Obese 20 or 7, but 70% of obese. I think it might even be 65% plus. 65% of obese parents have overweight children. And again, my kind of biggest thing with children is, like, fair enough, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of puppy fat here or there. But as somebody who was a little bit overweight as a kid, like, you know, it made my life a lot harder. You can leave your kids as an easy target, I think, which is just unfair. But it's the trajectory. It's like, if you're gaining at that young age, if you're gaining a pound every 2-3 months at 8 or 9 years of age, Jesus Christ, by the time you reach your 20s, you're gonna leave yourself with so much work to do.
It's so unfair on the kids. Like, it really is so truly unfair on the kids. And the thing about it is now is, like, look, as a parent, and again, we're all about saving face here, so it's like, don't feel targeted. You know, everybody makes mistakes. Like, the reason you're overweight is probably because that's the environment that you grew up in. And again, like, I think we should start taking this as serious as it is, and it's like, look, take the challenge and break the cycle for your kids, because it's not fair putting kids in the same situation. You know, obviously, look, it's probably not your fault you're overweight. You know, generational trauma, we talked about this kind of stuff. You know, you learn the skills from your parents, they learn from their parents, whatever it is. But it's like, you know, someone has to take responsibility for it. The ball's in your court. You know, and again, for your kids are worth every bit of it. And again, it really is not fair. It's not a nice experience because kids are assholes anyway with bullying. Like for anything, if you have a big nose or a buck tooth or a missing tooth or a spot in your head, you know, it's like you're a target anyway. So it's like if you're going through the natural course, you're going to get targeted anyway. It's like being overweight just puts an even more obvious, bigger target in your back, and it's not fair. Yeah. And again, it's something that can be done.
Yeah, 100%. Can be right. And for me, from my personal experience, I can have a vivid memory one time of like playing Gaelic in primary school and just not being able to run, like not being able to run fast, not being able to play because I was away. And again, you know, I just think honestly, like this is what parenting is all about: trying to not pass the trauma on to your own children. That's kind of the way I look at it. But at the same time, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Chris isn't perfect. Brand's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. What we want to do is just make sure that next year we're a little better off than we were this year. You know,
even if you pass
keep feeling forward, but make sure that the intention to kind of be better and the goal is there.
Even if you pass some of the trauma on, that you took a big chunk of it for them at least.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not, because nobody's gonna be perfect. No kids. Very few kids are probably getting through with zero trauma, which is fair. 100% perfect is not a realistic target, but again, yeah, trying to minimize it as much as possible. I would say, by giving them tools, skills, because at the end of the day, like, treat your kids like you would want to be treated. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sure you know, like, you would have loved to cook with your parents. You would have loved to know how to cook healthy meals. You would have loved to be more involved. Like, Molly loves cooking. You know, like, kids just eat this stuff up. She loves cleaning the house. She loves cooking, loves helping, loves getting a high five. I can already see her self-talk is starting to get so good. She's like, fantastic, Molly. Well done, Molly, and all this kind of stuff. So,
like, Mason's that too. That's one thing I would say as well, is like, Mason hates tidying up unless I help him. Like, if I say to Mason, tidy up your toys, he's like, no. Like yesterday, he was like, me try and sleep. He was like lying on the couch pretending to sleep. He wasn't trying to sleep at all. He was just lying on the couch being lazy. And I was like, okay, will you come help Daddy tidy up? And we were tidying up together. And they just eat it up. They love it. They love it.
That's it. It's interaction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right, cool.
100%. But I seen this thing the other day, and it really kind of called me out. I shared it on my Instagram story. I'm not sure if you guys seen it, but it was the Ed Milet thing. And it was it was so cutthroat. It was like, you know, we tell our kids these things all the time. You can be anything you want to be. Yeah. And then the kid turned around and was like, well, then why aren't you, Mom?
I think about that.
Why aren't you, Dad? You can achieve anything you ever want. Why didn't you, Mom? It's like, fuck. It's like these kids are watching. Like, they don't, like, kids don't, what is it? Kids don't do what you say, they do what you do, kind of thing. Yeah. So, you know, I think we all need to maybe do a better job in that area, or at least have the intention to do it, I think. But anyway, guys, we're going to have to leave it there. Going to jump on to another meeting. Appreciate it. Anybody, again, has any questions on the podcast, feel free to send some messages. We're always available to help. And if not, we will see you in the next one. Thanks for joining us.
Peace and love.